glad you joined us today. I'm Louann Fulmer. And imagine for a moment that your money could talk. What would it tell you? Well, Andrew is here to explain what to do with your retirement assets. And his goal is to help you retire with confidence. In fact, today, Andrew's going to step into the boots as our retirement Santa to decide what's naughty or nice when it comes to retirement planning. We all know this song. He's making a list, checking it twice, going to find out who's naughty and nice. So we'll find out whether or not you've been naughty or nice. You might match up with some of these retirement scenarios. We're going to have a lot of fun today. Here's the phone number we want you to have right now. 800-848-8768. 800-848-8768. Call Andrew and his team for a complimentary discovery visit. This is what Andrew offers every single week, a chance to go in and get your questions answered if you have any about retirement planning, and you probably will after our show today. Here's the website, too, swan-capital.com, swan with a hyphen, capital, 2A's.com. And Andrew, dare I say, ho, 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 Merry Christmas.
If I get to be retirement Santa, that means I get to eat more around the holidays then. I got room.
Yeah, you do, right? You have room, you have that big Santa suit, and you can eat all those Christmas cookies that you want.
That's right. He gets a good part of the deal.
So I think it's only fitting that I ask you, when you were growing up and trying to be on Santa's nice list, were you? Were you ever on the naughty list? I don't think so. I don't think little
sure
Andrew.
I probably deserved a little coal every once in a while, but Santa was pretty nice.
Oh, good. What about, okay, you grew up in a household of all brothers, right? Am I right?
I did.
Yeah.
That explains a lot. Three older brothers.
So were any of them on the naughty list? Or do you want to throw them under the bus?
I will throw them under the bus. They spent more time on the naughty list than I did.
See, there you go. That's funny. All right, well, we're going to have some fun today. You get to play Retirement Santa. And so you're going to step into his boots. You got your Santa hat ready? Put that on.
I'm ready.
Okay.
I'm ready.
All right.
Ready as I'll ever be.
Okay. I'm going to give you these scenarios. Tell me whether this retiree is naughty or nice. Bobby is 62 years old. He's ready to retire, and he's the breadwinner of the family. He's worked hard all his life. He will elect to take Social Security, to claim those Social Security benefits at age 62 because he knows he can start taking that benefit. That's pretty much all he knows about retirement planning. Now, his wife, Becky, she's 8 years younger than him. She's worked some small jobs, but mostly stayed at home with the kids. What do you think, Retirement Santa? Is Bobby's decision falling under the naughty or the nice list for retirement planning?
Unfortunately, Bobby's going to be on the naughty list, and that's because when you do Social Security income planning, you have to consider your spouse. And many times when we're putting together the budget, the retirement income plan, if we're not careful, we'll only think about us. And when we're building that income plan, a lot of times people say, I'm going to take my Social Security early because you never know how long I'm going to live, Andrew. And I say, that's true. We don't know how long you're going to live. But the chances and the statistics tell us that both of you are going to live potentially a very long time. At least one of you is going to live a very long time. And we want to give our spouse as much income as possible. And if we take Social Security early and we were to pass away, our spouse, who's not the breadwinner in this scenario, is going to have a smaller Social Security check that was possible to her. And so again, we need to keep in mind that when we do income planning, we have to consider our other spouse when we do this decision making that is irrevocable after 12 months. Right. Once you decide on Social Security, it's in stone.
So the thing is, this is a married couple, and there are a lot of different ways to take Social Security. That's what blows my mind, And don't just take it at 62 because you can.
Exactly. And a lot of times people say, well, Andrew, I don't want to wait till I'm 67 to retire. And I try to remind people, the day you take Social Security and the day you retire don't have to be the same day. I have many families that retire at the age of 60 and they don't draw Social Security for 7 years, but they have the assets that allow them to bridge that gap between 60 and 67 to be able to pay for their standard of living until those Social Security payments actually turn on.
So what you and your team do is you guys can do a Social Security analysis for everybody. You do that, right?
Absolutely. I think it's really important. If you're going to make a potentially $1 million decision for a couple, that's how valuable Social Security is today. We don't want to just do it flippantly. We want to study and make sure that we go through all the scenarios. What happens if she passes away first? What happens if he passes away? And make sure that we're prepared for each scenario.
Exactly. Okay. All right. So Retirement Santa, let's move on to another scenario. Here we go. Helen always enjoyed visiting the casino. She loved to gamble, enjoyed that feeling of competition, coming out on top. Well, it was the same way she invested in the market all throughout her life. She plans to be as aggressive as she was she plans to be as aggressive in retirement as well. But she's married, and her husband, Ted, he's the more conservative out of the two. He's not comfortable with that amount of risk. And although Helen has actually been the one to make more money, he doesn't want the same retirement plan as Helen does. He plans to go talk to a financial professional about his options. So, Santa, is Ted naughty or nice when it comes to planning for his own retirement?
In this case, Ted is actually nice. Even though I know it sounds weird, he's going against his wife's wishes for retirement, and that can seem wrong, but he's considering both of them in this chapter of life that they're going into. You can take risks when you are 40 years old, 30 years old, but as you get closer and closer to retirement, we have to balance risk because we don't potentially have as much time to recover if we have a large market pullback. And so I'm most of the time a financial advisor, but part-time, I can be a marriage counselor.
Right.
Pulling these two personalities and two risk tolerances together and marrying those together. And how we do that is we take the opinions, we take, getting on Ted's side or getting on her side, and what we do is we just show families the facts. What we do is a risk score assessment. Basically, it gives you a risk score. So from 0 to 100, based on your portfolio, how much risk are you honestly taking? And so I get to show families in your current portfolio in 2013, if the market went up 32%, your account would go up 28%, which is incredible. But I also get to show them, hey, if you're at this current risk score and we go through another 2008, you're not going to lose just 37% like we did in 2008. You might lose 40%. And people say, whoa, hey, I can't stomach losing $400,000 of my retirement. And then that's where we're marrying that together and say, well, how much are you going to feel okay with losing temporarily? And people meet in the middle and they say maybe 200. And that's how we can marry that couple together again with their risk tolerance.
Awesome. Okay, so let's talk about how you are offering a chance for somebody to come in and do a risk tolerance study as well.
Absolutely. So if you want to find out what your risk score is, to find out a really detailed analysis of what your risk tolerance is compared to your portfolio, it's one thing to know how you personally feel about risk, but if your portfolio is not aligned with your risk tolerance, well, that's a real problem. We want to make sure that if your risk score is a 60 and your portfolio, it should be a 60 also. And sometimes I meet families, Louann, their risk score is a 60, but their portfolio is a 72. It's way out of whack.
Yeah.
And so if you want to find out about your personal risk score, take us up on our complimentary 1-hour visit that we call a discovery visit. And all you have to do is call 1-800-848-8768. That's 1-800-848-8768.
Also, let me guide you to the website, too. It's swan-capital.com, swan-capital.com, and you can read more about Andrew and his team at Swan Capital because they know that you have worked a lifetime to get to this point, and they are here they're offering you a helping hand, okay? You don't have to go it alone in retirement. That's what they're here for. So you're listening to Andrew McNair. This is What Your Money Would Say. I'm Louann Fulmer, and Andrew is stepping into the boots of our retirement Santa today, telling us whether these retirees are naughty or nice when it comes to retirement planning. All right, Santa, here we go. Here's another one for you. Jerry plans to retire within a year. He believes he's saved enough money and plans to live on the income from his Social Security and a company pension. When asked about health care, he plans to rely on Medicare alone. He's been healthy all his life, not many injuries, not many medical concerns, anything like that. So he's not too worried about extensive planning for health care. What do you think, retirement Santa Andrew? Is Jerry being naughty or nice when it comes to health care planning?
Well, sadly, Jerry's on the naughty list.
Oh.
It's a good thing that Jerry has stayed healthy, going to exercise classes, eating healthy. But just because you do all those things, it doesn't guarantee you that you're going to have your health will go with you the whole time through retirement. And Fidelity actually estimates that an average 65-year-old can have up to as much as $300,000 for healthcare expenses in retirement. That's a huge amount of money. And the problem is if you haven't walked through the differences between Medicare supplements and Medicare Advantage plans, maybe you might be on the hook for some of that percentages because of the high deductibles or percentages depending on your health insurance plan, and the choices that you make at Medicare time are really important because you might be on the hook for some of that $300,000. And so that's why we take a lot of time to make sure that clients understand the differences between Medicare supplement plans as well as Medicare Advantage plans so they can make the decision that's right for their family.
Right. And of course, Medicare enrollment every single year in December, but you can always talk to anybody about it anytime throughout the year, right?
Absolutely. And if you're turning 65, that's a perfect time. You don't have to wait till December to start thinking about it. You can start thinking about it as you're 64, 63 years old.
Okay, very good. Okay, Santa, we're ready for another scenario. This one is about Diana. She's had moderate success. She's been a ghostwriter for some CEOs and some celebrities. She's also written a couple of her own novels under her own pen name. So she's been able to amass quite a small fortune for herself and her family. However, she's not written a will yet. She keeps wanting to. She definitely wants to leave her family, a legacy, but something always seems to get in the way. So, Santa, is Diana's procrastination naughty or nice?
Sadly, it's naughty. Even though she is a writer, having that will written out is so important. And that's why we have an estate planning attorney in our office, Scott Malik. We work with a lot of different attorneys because that's who you need to work with when you're getting your legal documents done. We don't encourage families to do it yourself by downloading forms online. You want to seek a professional's help. And so Scott Malik is an estate planning attorney. That's all he does. And he can sit down with you and say, here's why you need a living will for those end-of-life decisions. Here's why you need a power of attorney, medical and financial. And then here's why you need a last will. And then if your home, for instance, is owned jointly, maybe you and your spouse own your own home, and maybe it's paid for. He's going to talk to you about how that's a probatable expense, so that after all the beneficiaries, after all the spouses were to pass away, then it goes to the beneficiaries, and that process is what we call probate. And if you want to avoid that on your home, he can talk to you about life estates and trusts to see if that's right for you, to keep you off that naughty list.
All right, Retirement Santa Andrew, any advice you want to have for retirees before we have to take a break?
Well, I think it's really important as we go into this season of giving to just make sure you think through the gifts that you're giving to your grandchildren and your children. Try to avoid cash gifts and think about maybe giving them a Roth IRA or starting them a 529 plan or doing some college prepaid. It's been proven that when you give cash gifts to your children, you create magnetic spending, which means they're going to spend more than as if they never got the cash gift in the first place. So I encourage you to keep your kids off the naughty list by avoiding to give them cash gifts.
I love that. Okay, so let's give out your information, and we do need to take a quick break.
Absolutely. If you want to learn about the estate planning that you and your family need to go through, maybe you've been procrastinating to get a will, Scott Malik can help you. And all you have to do, we make it really easy. All you have to do is call our office and say, hey, I'd like to have a meeting with Scott and Andrew to see what estate planning legacy decisions that I need to make. And we'll take it from there and schedule you a time so that we can sit for 1 hour complimentary to answer your questions about the legal documents. And Scott can tell you what you need and what you don't need and how much it'll cost. Again, to take us up on that, all you have to do is call 1-800-848-8768. That's 1-800-848-8768.